Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of BangCulture. I'm Alex, here again with Mike,
I'm Mike.
and then we got Jake.
Hey,
And today, our big topic for the end of the podcast is going to be intertextuality and what that means and how it's being used and stuff. But to start off, I will talk about what I've been doing this past week, and we'll go around and do it again. So one of the big thing that's actually been eating a lot of my time, especially the last couple of days, because I've been trying. I was hoping to get it done by this podcast, but I didn't quite get there when I was trying to finish OKKO. Which I'm like two episodes away, but right now I'm pretty happy with it overall. The only problem I have is that the second season, I swear, at least a quarter of the season around there is like filler. Is just episodes that really go nowhere, which is really weird because like they have a lot of build up for this ending and this kind of reveal where I'll also try to put it down in the description, stuff like that, on spoilers because I'm gonna spoil the ending here for it. So check that. But yeah, so at the end of the season, kind of what makes sense of that really big there. I don't think I talked about it in the podcast, but there's a really big moment in season 1 where KO gets like his dark inner dark side powers, uses them and kind of defeats like a couple of the like adult heroes.
no, you didn't talk about that.
I did? Okay.
Yeah.
So in that you learn later on, and I it a little bit feels like they added this to make sense of that part, honestly, is kind of the other problem I have with it. But in it, KO uses a specific power that kind of like drops a bunch of people, like drops them all. And in one of the last three, it was like last 3 or 4 episodes, or later or less, they talk about KO's father, who is this other who was a hero, who something happened to him that they explain multiple times, and they talk about what his power was, which was that he actually can absorb other people's powers or other people's like energy. And so that wave, the wave thing he used in that fight was probably that power. So it kind of explains that a bit. It's still a little weird how that works and how like powerful it is to be able to do that. So it makes that point less curious, but at the same time makes this new like discovery kind of curious, because like, did you actually have this planned out from the beginning where he has like these fire powers and then this like take absorbing energy power, or did you notice that in that episode he did a thing that was very confusing and then tried to like retcon like what they had planned, because there's like it's been like 50 something episodes, probably like 40 from that point, but it's been 2 seasons and they're now getting to like what his other powers are and kind of understanding that a bit. So yeah, but I like that they made it like they had his father be this guy who like the hero guy. He actually becomes a villain because he like runs away and stuff after the explosion. There's an explosion, but yeah. So that was cool. There's some other things that were really neat about this one where they talk about kind of superhero hierarchy. There is one thing it will keep being weird for me, but basically they hand over the like school for superheroes, like the big important one, to like maybe if I'm lucky with this plot, they hand over the school to like a 18-year-old girl.
Okay.
And it makes no sense to me. Like I'm like she's like the top hero of the school. So in that regard, it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, you're just like, but she's still like probably 16. I'm being generous by calling her 18. She is not an adult and should not be doing this. But you know what? Who cares? It's a children's cartoon.
I mean, we could argue that Food Wars leaves off in a very similar way.
I do not know how it ends, or like where it like what you mean by leaves off. I'm guessing the ending.
Yeah, the ending of the anime. You haven't seen it yet, probably, so I won't.
It's actually still going. It's actually airing more episodes right now.
Oh, is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The way they left off was so like.
Yeah, they.
Yeah, it definitely like made it seem like that was it, but there's like one more arc. But I've heard it's like the worst arc, so I haven't bothered to start it yet.
Is that where it's gonna end for Food War? Like, because as far as I know, the manga is still going, or was going at least this year.
The manga is over. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, probably it was supposed to go for like a another chapter or two, so it probably ended.
Yeah, so I've heard the next arc is just the worst.
Yeah, dang.
I'm not sure if it's the last arc or not, but I know we're definitely very close.
Yeah, okay, then disappointing because I love Food Wars.
So the arc like up and before this one that Mike thought was the end is very good though. You should definitely watch up through that.
Yep, for sure. That is definitely.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but yeah. I think I'm still like somewhere in season 2. I just haven't really wanted to put in the effort to get the like because they only have subbed as far as I can find, so it's more of a commitment for me to watch this. So
yeah,
but yeah, so that's one thing I did. The other thing I did was I've played since last time. I've been playing more New Vegas, and it's just like I've grown like a renewed appreciation for that game. Just getting lost in it sometimes, like it's just so good. Though there is one place I know pissed me off way back when, and also pissed me off now. But there is a vault that the NCR have you go and deal with. That is super radiated.
And NCR, you wanna?
Oh, the New California Republic. It's a faction. But yeah, they have you go and stop a vault, or go and investigate a vault that's been irradiating their water supply, or at least making them sick. I don't know exactly if they said irradiated. I think they did. But yeah, and so it's just filled with radiation the entire time. Glowing one, radiated zombie type things in there as well. And at that point, I wasn't super sure if I would have enough stuff to get through it without dying, like at least get out and go somewhere to like fix myself. But I like got out of that and was like 2 or 3 points of radiation from dying and used like all my stuff.
Oh man,
Oh boy.
Yeah. So that was annoying then and now. That I could have stopped halfway through it, like ran out and got some more supplies and then came back, but I just didn't want to do that because it just took more time. So I was like, I'll just get through it. Like hopefully they'll give me enough stuff to like to make it through, and barely enough. So that was exhilarating in a bad way. But yeah, I haven't. Oh, also, I don't think I talked about it the last time, but one other. It's not really a problem because it's actually kind of nice that it happens for me. I'm one of the major factions, and it's Caesar's Legion. I got vilified with them really early. Like, I feel like a lot of people do when they play that game because of Nipton, particular town. But I'll run into them so often. I think I did talk about this, but I run into them with like a pretty weird frequency, and they always have like a lot of stuff. Like they're like really hard to beat, even like with like a lot of explosives and stuff hitting them. Like they just don't go down. So it's fun. I think also another problem I actually have is mostly that some of the tougher guys are melee and I can't use explosives on them. I think that's actually one of my big problems. I can use it on them, but that will also use it on myself. I can't do that much. But yeah. So also I recently got EA has it to where you can like give them $5, and most of the games on like they have on EA Origins, you get to download as you want. And so basically for $5 you get all these games. Not quite as good as the deal that Microsoft has right now, where it's like $1 for a ton of games, but still, it's a solid deal. So for a long time, I've been slowly, for like 6 or 7 years, been slowly going through the Mass Effect games because I never played them when they came out. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna finally get 3 and play through that and finally get the end of the story and stuff, which I know is kind of jank, but I was like, still, I wanna play through it.
Then you can play Andromeda.
And then I can play Andromeda. I am actually going to play Andromeda. I plan to do it. Mostly so I can... One, so I can... Because Mike was like, I'm never going to play that game. But I'm like, but you should at least know, like, it's good or not. So I was going to play it and tell him.
I did say I will never play that game.
It's okay. I played some.
Yeah, I was like, it's probably not going to be too off the course of the older games, but it's just...
Yeah. I think they patched a lot of like the really big bugs and stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they did that like with the first like couple weeks.
They were just not going back, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I was like, you know, it's probably gonna be good. Though a lot of the facial recognition stuff is still very Uncanny Valley. It's not bugging out to, you know, holy fuck levels, but it still looks very uncanny. I've seen some clips and stuff, but I'm just like, you know what, whatever. But yeah, so I played it once. I actually played the like beginning section twice now. Because the first time I did it, I'm like, I won't register the playthrough I did when I was trying to make make the new character or whatever. So I was just like, you know what, whatever, I'll just play through it. And I was hoping there was something like in... I thought there was something in game when you started to like pick choices that actually happened in the previous games. As far as I can tell, there isn't.
Nope.
Yeah, because I was like, I thought I heard that, but apparently not. So I was like, well, that really sucks. And then I think I looked up something somewhere, and it was saying that you have to have Mass Effect 2 downloaded in order to get your old save file. So I actually did that and got my character transferred over.
Nice.
So, but I replayed like 2 hours of the beginning of the game over again. I think this morning or yesterday I played the beginning and a little bit farther. But yeah, the one thing I find weird about the opening of that is like the Paragon options for a lot of the things people talk to you about is like, but Earthdo. Like you have to be like super sympathetic over Earth, and I'm like, I don't know if I would normally say this, but you know what, whatever.
But Earth, though.
But Earth, though. So, I guess, yeah, because it's like being sympathetic to Earth, and I'm just like, but you got a galaxy that still has these problems.
But they don't care about your problems.
Well,
it's Earth.
But Earth.
Earth.
But Earth, though. Yeah, so that was the only thing that was really weird there. That I was like, about how they're writing it. But otherwise, with that, there's also the weird thing with like the kid and the dream sequences or whatever. But
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of make little sense. But I watched something way back when that tried to like make sense of all of it, and I'm just like, okay, I can kind of see that, where it's like you're being taken over or something.
Yeah, that was like everyone's favorite. Like,
yeah, that was a favorite theory. Yeah.
It wasn't true, but that's what everyone wanted.
Yeah. Did they actually flat out come out and like we're like this is not what we're doing?
No, just like nothing ever comes of it if that was to be the case.
Well, when like there wouldn't be anything that would come of it other like it's just the way people made sense on how kind of because does Shepard die at the end? Technically,
probably.
It's left ambiguous. Yeah,
okay.
So you're led to believe that he does.
Yeah.
Or she, whichever.
Yeah.
It depends on which of the choices you make.
Yeah, because
choice isn't the one choice to save yourself, and like the other two you end up dying in the process.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'll definitely see that when it comes up. But yeah, about how kind of the Paragon colors get inverted at that last choice is kind of all that really would come of the indoctrination. So, yeah. So I did that. Another thing that happened last week. So it's actually gonna be like probably 2 weeks from when this goes live. But Splatoon 2 had a free week.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So I actually played for a couple days. Played some Splatoon, and that was really fun. Like nothing's really that new. It's the same thing that's been going on.
It's still Splatoon.
It's still Splatoon. I still love it, but never like really want to dedicate enough like time to it. So I've never got it, but I might. Like it was really fun playing it. I had a bunch of friends that also picked it up for the week. A couple of them have had it, but yeah, that was good. Yeah, not really anything too big on me picking it on like the beginner experience of it. Like it's just pretty easy to pick up and play. I kind of wish you didn't have to get so high level to start getting gear, but that's kind of whatever.
Yeah, like you at least unlock more of the options for like various weapons and stuff. You mean, or just
yeah. You can't get any weapons, clothing, or accessories or whatnot until you reach level like 5 I think it is. So I played like a solid day, or a solid like I think it was like 2 to 4 hours, something like that, and then got could get gear of any kind.
That's pretty slow.
Yeah. Sure. I was like, maybe if it was like rank 3 or something, I would feel better about it. But you know,
usually I would expect to have to do like maybe the first 2, maybe 3 games before customization starts unlocking.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like maybe 3, or if they wanted to at every level give you a new piece of equipment. That also.
That's how they used to do it back in the original Switch.
Oh, really? That would make more sense for. You know, because that's actually what I played more of. Because I think I played your copy a bunch.
Yeah.
I was like having a field day over that.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, at least as you leveled up, you would unlock the different weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
In 2, does it just all open up? Can you buy all of them at level 5?
It's whichever in the store. I think it's no. I think it's there's a handful they give you at the beginning, or that like lower levels can get, and then the newer equipment basically opens up later, where it's more complex.
Interesting.
Yeah, where it's like every few levels they give you a handful you can pick from. Also, and at that point I had enough coins or whatever to buy to like at least deck myself out with one piece of gear for every slot.
Okay.
Actually, definitely more than that, but yeah, so that's kind of nice that you have enough stuff, like enough money to buy the stuff, like enough stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one positive for it. But yeah. And then the only other thing is I watched earlier today, for when we record this, the Microsoft Direct thing that was going on. They're I think I'm not sure if Microsoft is doing a thing a month. I think I heard, or if it was Jeff Keighley is doing a big event and they're gonna try to do things on that. But they at least coincide with this for today. But yeah, that came out and that had a couple really cool games for today. But there was also like a bunch of things that were kind of so there's a few games that were actually pretty cool to me. Probably not for most people, which is fair. They're really weird, and a couple and a few. Mostly it was pretty blah from the takeaway I've heard from a lot of people. And yeah, so first I'll talk about the games I like, and then go to like the one big problem like a lot of people have with it. But yeah, so there's two games that I thought were really cool, like weird and cool, and that's Scorn, which is like in their trailer it didn't show a whole lot. It was just a lot of kind of creepy, like Geiger-esque, like awkwardly erotic like setting stuff, and it just panned around at this like location, but the like graphics for that looked really like sick in most uses of that term. But yeah, like some weird stuff. But they found that I was watching some guys talk over it in a stream, but they actually found and showed some like gameplay footage from like 2 years ago apparently of Scorn, and that's I think on the Steam. It looks like they're showing like a Steam page thing. But yeah, you like use like these guns that have like weird like parts that fit together, and you do weird like shoot these weird creepy alien type things. But yeah,
it sounds familiar.
Yeah, I might have seen it before. Apparently it was kickstarted as well, and that like then I'm guessing it got picked up by Microsoft or something somewhere along the line, because they were like picking up a lot of indies recently. But yeah, that was something.
Are the guns like weirdly organic?
Yes. Everything is weirdly organic.
I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
that looks cool.
Yeah,
that's not.
Yeah, like you load like fucking pebbles into this organic hunk of meat that you then shoot out. But yeah. So the other creepy one is actually by the people who did like Layers of Fear and Observer, I think is the game, called The Medium, and that was also really cool, and it's very silent, like Silent Hill looking, and apparently has the composer from Silent Hill as well. So I mean, they got their bases covered for being Silent Hill, the next Silent Hill. But
like what I'm interested with it.
Yeah, exactly. they're making pachinko machines or whatever out of it.
Yep.
So, yay!
Line up for your Pyramid Head pachinko.
Yeah. It's very interesting to think about the kinds of people that would go to a pachinko machine specifically because it's Pyramid Head. Make me wonder. But yeah, so
People are weird, man.
and don't I know it? But yeah, you play. It's like a woman who can see into this hellscape verse that is kind of someone's like mental state or something. I think they said. I don't exactly remember all the points
psyche.
they talked about. Yeah, and their psyche. I'm not sure if that was exactly it from what they were saying, but you at least get to see into like this weird. Also, if I remember correctly, also awkwardly organic version of everything. But yeah, I don't remember exactly what kind of like gameplay they showed. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be possibly you fight things, possibly trying to like escape them. But yeah, it's just like mostly just yeah. Also, this weird thing with her being like pregnant at some point, and that probably comes up somewhere in it because that's what they showed a lot in the trailer. But yeah, that was really cool. They also showed obviously like for the meh things. They showed I think a new Madden. Oh, they did show another thing of what was it called? I was actually looking it up earlier. I can't remember, but it's actually by a studio that's like one guy, and he's using like Unreal, and he made this like pretty sweet looking FPS. And there's gonna be
Anthem could have been.
no, because well, kinda, but no. Because I'm not sure too much about what it is, other than you're some girl that does some stuff. It's slightly futuristic, but yeah, there's not as much. There's no flying in it, so they'd lose that. But it'd be a shorter game that works better. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot the name of it. But yeah, so it's out. Technically, a version of it's out right now, and they're making basically, it's like a redux of it or something, and you get that for free if you own it already, the first one already.
That's good.
Yeah. So I found the name of the thing, and it's called Bright Memory, and it's like a futuristic it's weird because they have like. What looks like cybernetics in some of the characters, but like mostly it's kind of running around mountainous areas from the looks of this. So like not like cities, it's just kind of wilderness. It's interesting. Also I think there's it's either Bloodlines game or something was shown as well, but that like the yeah, I think it's the next Bloodline Masquerade game.
That game looks like it's really good.
Mm-hmm. The graphics don't look too great, but it looks like you could do a lot of different stuff. So they opened like it was a really good trailer though. They opened like with like this really cool scene of like a guy who's like killed a family or something. Yeah, it's really out there. It's cool. So that looks cool. And then so last thing that a lot of people are making fun of for the whole thing is in it. They're like talking about how they're going to show some gameplay of Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk this up or whatever, and they show like this this scene,
The cinematic,
and it's it's a cutscene in engine, and they call it gameplay like 2 or 3 times, even afterwards.
Yep.
And everybody's like, "Do you not know what gameplay is?"
No, of course they don't.
Like what department? I'm really curious because I didn't really pay attention to figure out. I just knew it was a dev. If they said what department he's from, because apparently he doesn't know what a game really is. So
Sorry, neither is Bethesda. So
yeah. Hey man, at least they don't. At least they're not as bad right now as a lot of the EA games, which is like they basically think that loot boxes are games. So I mean, they're like 2 steps up from that.
fair.
But yeah, so that was the big thing. I don't remember if I was like actually watching what was going on when they were doing the Assassin's Creed stuff, because I've actually never since 2 basically I haven't been that big of a fan of the series. So I just was like, whatever, it's gonna be some weird stuff. Apparently there's gonna be some ship combat, but it's not gonna be super big.
Yeah, these new ones just haven't been doing it as much ever
Well, yeah.
since like Black Flag or so.
Yeah, well, I mean, the new 2, Odyssey and Origins, are low tier Witcher.
Yeah.
So
That is fair.
it's like they're talking. I think they were talking about it in there, but I've also thought about this for like ever. One of the reasons why I stopped caring as much is because it's not about being an assassin anymore. It's just kind of a brawler combat. Like, it's all they do for like their missions. So it's, you can do assassinations, from what I hear, because I haven't played any since 2. I've played Brotherhood. Sorry, I haven't played any since Brotherhood. But yeah, they're saying you can do assassinations, but for the most part, it's just you fight dudes.
Yeah, I played some Odyssey,
Mm-hmm.
and like you can do assassinations, but it's just like it's a damage check.
Oh,
So even if you successfully assassinate someone, you
Quote
may not actually kill them if your damage isn't high enough based on like the level of the enemy you're going to assassinate.
yeah, because now it's kind of, again, like low tier RPG stuff where you can level up shit and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, it's fine for a game to especially with this, like, reinvent themselves, trying to make them more in line with what people think is fun over what they were doing for a while. They're churning out kind of garbage.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not. It's still farther from what I originally had fun doing in 1. But yeah.
I need to watch the new trailer and stuff. So I like to keep up on like kind of what's happening with Assassin's Creed, even though
yeah.
I probably won't play them.
Yeah, like that's why, like, for Odyssey, I really like that they give you like dialogue options, stuff like that. But yeah,
Even with like, well, that's not even the first one they gave you dialogue options in.
oh, I know. It's just what I'm getting at.
But I'm really excited for the new one. The only reason why I have any hesitation or reservations about it is purely because all they showed was a cinematic trailer. And when Blizzard does that kind of shit, it sets off alarm bells in my head because of what happened with the relaunch of Warcraft 3, you know, where they showed that beautiful cinematic, Anduin and, or not Anduin, sorry, Arthas and blonde-haired kings, you know.
I know. And trust
you're
me,
a Warcraft guy, Mike. If you get the Warcraft lore wrong, no one's gonna know.
No one's gonna get it right.
I swear. But listen,
I got 2 boards over here. With that one.
With Arthas and all that, and that scene, I think it should set off alarm bells in a lot of people's heads, to be quite honest, because if it doesn't, then what you're basically saying is it's fine no matter what the game is, I'm going to buy it anyway, and that's what a lot of people are probably going to do.
No.
I would hope that coming up they will release some actual footage of it, like show me the parkour, show me one small section of this really cool fucking designed world that your dev team came up with, because that's the best draw to Assassin's Creed throughout all of them. Odyssey, Black Flag was my favorite by far because of all the island settings.
Yeah, I feel that's for everyone.
The story wasn't super, cohesive or whatever, but I mean, it was enough. It makes sense. Assassins translate into pirates. Sure, I can believe that.
Yeah.
I've been excited for two in particular that I was hoping they would do, and that one is Fuel Air Japan, which I know a lot of people have been looking forward to, and this one, which is a Viking setting, because ever since what was it? It was the third installment of Ezio. I forget what it was.
Brotherhood?
No,
three. No, three.
Yeah, the third one, which was
Revelations.
Oh yeah, Revelations.
Where they showed you the armor for the ancient assassin from Greece. It also showed you statues of every other assassin that, every other major assassin that has played a role in shaping the world thus far, and a couple of them were Chinese or Japanese origin, and I think there was a Viking in there. I'm not entirely sure.
It wouldn't
I forgot
surprise
more
me.
about that. It's been so long since I've played those games.
Yeah. But there was also one for Cleopatra, I don't know if it was Cleopatra herself, but it was somebody who was using the snake, which is supposedly what killed Cleopatra. So it was the assassin that killed her.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that they might go through Egypt again, which they did. And I was happy that they did. But this one is one that I've been looking forward to for a long time, because I think ever since God of War 4, I think more people have been excited for more
Norse lore
encounters and more. I'm curious to see how the deification plays out in this way, because if you remember, and this might be spoilers for Assassin's Creed 2, but that game is like over.
Yeah, that one's actually pretty old.
Sorry. There's the creators of the Eden, or of the Apple of Eden, and they are considered gods, right? We don't know if they're actual gods or aliens or what, and they just moved away from that.
Yeah, because that's a lot of the outside of just weird. You play an assassin who goes and kills people, which is
You're not the chosen one anymore. You're not playing Miles Desmond. You're not playing the descendant of Altair. You're not playing Ezio or any of the three. What you're doing now is you're going through the aftermath and the side effects of the war between the Templars and the Assassins, and that is really cool. But I'm curious to see if any of that deification stuff comes back in this, with gods being so closely tied into.
I would say no, probably, because the same thing is true on Egypt. And they did
Egypt. Odyssey. Really.
Yeah, great. Yeah, like all of the, like they're specifically going to, like, I feel places that very tied into.
Well, I haven't gotten super far through
gods.
Odyssey, so I didn't know what all they did. I know that.
I don't know what they did either. I just mean like.
As far as I got.
Yeah.
I just know that, like, as far as cultures that are very close to their gods, like have very active gods, all three are.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I haven't played either Origins or Odyssey to tell you either. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so hopefully, might be something with that. I'm guessing not, just because as far as I know, there wasn't a lot of that in those games, and they don't talk about the app. I don't think they talk at all about the Apple of Eden stuff anymore.
They hardly ever come up anymore, and if they do, it's in mention.
Yeah,
nothing else.
Yeah, because they kind of just are like, go do.
Which is probably where they should stay. To be completely honest.
Yeah,
that plot was weird.
Don't get into the weird plot. Yeah, that's why they kind of ended it. We're like, you know what, just go be an assassin. So.
Go do parkour and kill people. That's what people want.
I want the multiplayer to not suck and to come back.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that multiplayer for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ways they could have done it better. They could still do it better.
Yeah.
They probably won't, though. It's just fair. I understand. It got its time.
I think it's just there might not have been enough draw at the time, you know? Like, maybe just not enough people decided to play it online, which is fair enough. But it's disappointing, you know?
And now what they could try to do to kind of keep with the times is instead of doing it like they did before, now make a asymmetric Assassin's Creed multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be something interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see more from the Templars' perspective, though.
Well, yeah, you would have one person play as an assassin,
and then,
or like a team of assassins, and then a team of Templars, or something like that. And
that'd be cool.
It's asymmetry.
Yeah.
Kind of like a capture the point type thing.
Yeah, you would have a small team of assassins and a large force of Templars to guard like a base. That would be
like a person.
Yeah,
or something like
well,
that.
you guard a base with a person being the target.
Yeah.
And so that would be super cool.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Especially if we could support, like, have enough players, have, like, maybe 24 players, something like that, on the Templar team, and, like, a team of, like, 4 assassins.
Yeah.
It'd be fun with times as well. Even Doom has an asymmetric multiplayer now.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, the Doom Eternal has one.
Nice. I haven't seen any of the multiplayer stuff. I've watched some.
It's pretty neat.
Cool.
It's one Doomslayer versus 2 demons. And you can like 4 or 5 different demons you can choose from, and the 2 demons can summon a bunch of like the smaller demon minions, and they just have to try to kill the Doomslayer before he kills all of them.
Yeah. Dope. Yeah, that's really cool. I think that's all I have for this week. So, Mike, you're up next.
All right. So mostly I've been replaying some games, more Legends of Runeterra and stuff like that, but we'll get into that in a bit. And I've been playing more League. Second season just started, or the mid-season, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Just hit.
Any like big?
Volibear is getting his rework soon. They should be announcing it tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I saw that they had the little like trailer video on Twitter, I think.
Yeah. It looks really cool. I'm curious to see what it's gonna do.
That's
I used to be a
exciting.
Volibear main way back in the day. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
I loved the fiddle rework, even though when I just recently went to try, I tried fiddle. I tried fiddle support. It did not go well. We sorely lost every game.
Damn.
Well,
I want to try that.
They just buffed his sight, so I'm not sure when you tried that.
Buffed his what?
Scythe.
They buffed his silence. His sight.
Yeah.
Because it was too weak in the laning phase for support.
Yes.
They buffed his base damage.
I love
They buffed
it.
his base damage, and they buffed his and they nerfed the mana cost on it. So,
I feel like it didn't do that much damage and it didn't cost that much mana. So maybe I just barely missed the patch. Was it like in the last couple of days?
It was within no, not the last couple of days. It was like a week ago, maybe.
Because I feel like I played about a week ago or so. So maybe I just barely missed it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just that bad at fiddle support.
Maybe. I don't know. I tried it. We did okay in lane. We actually stomped lane, but we ended up losing because top off
Yeah.
jumbled fed.
Yeah, that happens.
My first game was
no-
against the Morgana though, and that wasn't good.
Yeah, that's the worst.
That'll do it.
Actual the worst. So yeah.
Yeah, let's just put the champion that counters anybody with CC in the bot lane versus the newly weakened / tweaked fiddlesticks in regards to his support role.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he really needs gold. That's the thing. He absolutely needs more gold than the support item will give him. But we can talk about Riot balancing all fucking day. So let's
Yeah.
I've been playing. I've played a little bit more Hearthstone since the expansion drop. The Demon Hunter nerfs were absolutely necessary and are not enough.
What did they nerf? Like I'm not.
So they nerfed a couple of really important cards. Mostly their mid game, and the thing is that what Demon Hunters do better than any other class is board presence. Not board control, board presence. Their minions are so heavily statted in attack and so weak in defense that they are susceptible to board clear, but almost all of them have an exceptionally strong effect, or instead of weak in defense, they have even defense to their attack stat and have a really strong effect on the board rather than being played.
Okay.
Like the biggest offender of that was the 7 or 6 mana 7/7 that does 1 damage to everything. Or no, sorry, it does 7 damage randomly split at the end of your turn.
Oh, okay.
That thing's nuts. And they have
Like
the
all
ability to
random damage from Hearthstone.
Oh yeah, I love rando damage.
Oh my god, it's
It's
random enemies, not random total.
Okay, good. As long as
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it's random like there are cards that do random damage to everything. So I mean,
There are, and that would make more sense. You know, it would be a little bit more balanced. But no, in this case, it's just a slightly better mini Ragnaros that you can put 2 of in your deck.
yeah, and yeah.
Their weapons are insane. They have a better fiery war axe. It's a 3 mana 2/3 weapon with lifesteal.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and then they've also got basically. Do you remember the Warrior Death Knight weapon?
Oh, yes, Reaver.
With it,
Or no.
did Reaver damage. Yeah.
Or no. That. I don't know what you meant by Reaver damage, but it was a 5/2 weapon.
Hits the minions next to the target.
No, that was a different weapon. The one I'm talking about is just a 5/2 weapon.
No.
Yeah.
Not that one. That's
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, but there's a different one that does.
There's a different
AoE.
one. So the the Warrior Death Knight weapon, what it did was, it was a 4/2 weapon. It was 4/2 axe. Whenever you hit something, you would basically hit like the Foe Reaver used to hit.
Yeah, it does
and it would
adjacent.
hit all 3 targets if you hit the middle one.
Yeah.
What it does is now a 5/2 weapon for 5, I think, and it has the same effect. But Demon Hunter's their hero power is 1 mana, gain 1 attack until end of turn. So for 6 mana, you're doing 6 damage to 3 things, and effectively for 7 mana, you're doing instead of 18 damage, you're dealing 36 damage. If you can hit 6 minions with it. It's absolutely disgusting the amount of value that you can get.
Yeah.
With some of their cards, and even with some of the nerfs, which they nerfed their card draw mechanic and their like I said, their mid game, which is where those cards were, the 6 mana, 7 mana, and 5 mana weapon. But for the most part, it's still not enough. You still see Demon Hunters everywhere.
Yeah.
The current tier 1 deck, I think, is Priest.
Oh,
I
god.
think it's a Highlander Priest, actually. or Singleton,
Yeah.
and it's because Priest has actually I lied. It's not even Singleton. It's Resurrection Priest again.
Yeah.
Resurrection Priest is back.
Yeah, I heard that they got a couple really good cards for rezzing.
Priest also got a huge directional change as well, so they got rid of a few cards and they added a few more. So instead of being more towards like the healing side of things, like they used to be, they still have the same hero power, but they are now more control-y than gimmicky. So they took out what was it? I think they took out Inner Fire.
Really?
Yeah, so you can't do the Divine Spirit Inner Fire combo anymore. You can still do it in Wild.
Yeah.
Nobody really plays Wild, and when they do, they're doing it just to fuck around.
Yeah.
Nobody plays it competitively, but I would be curious to see the rank 1 Legend Wild player. I'm not gonna lie, that would be something.
Yeah.
Imagine having to fight through Jade, Ragnaros, Sylvanas everywhere, Death Rattle Rogue, fucking Yogg-Saron bullshit.
Man.
Oh my god. The Barnes Yogg-Saron combo was absolutely disgusting, and I thought about it the other day, and I was like, man, imagine if they brought that combo back. What would it do to the current meta? I feel like it would still be a tier 2 or tier 3 deck, and it's not even good.
No. Which is hilarious, but
yeah, despite all that, besides Hearthstone, I've been playing. I played a little bit of Terraria yesterday for the first time in forever, and that was nostalgic as fuck. I remembered how much I suck at that game.
Oh yeah.
It's for anybody who's never played Terraria. It's 2D Minecraft with slightly different mechanics
and more combat.
And more combat, a lot more combat, and it's not really optional either.
Yeah,
Not just turn off the combat in that game like you can in Minecraft. You got the option to play peacefully.
Yeah.
Terraria is fucking the Dark Souls of Minecraft games.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually do agree with that. Because I was thinking, is there any other game that I think could top Terraria in lethal combat? And no, I don't think there is
among like those kind of games, at least.
Yeah, exactly. For those kind of games, it's the one. Like, its enemies mean business. Especially its boss at the handful of boss enemies you encounter.
Oh yeah, and that's
the boss is really cool.
Yeah, the boss is also
boss. They fuck you up.
Oh yeah, because you just don't know. You just don't know what you're in for.
Why? And like it tricks you too, because you'll be going up against like green slimes and fucking zombies or whatever, and you'll be like, I got this shit all day long. And then all of a sudden you find a slime with an umbrella, and you're like, oh wait a minute, I don't do as much damage to this one. And then you take more damage and more damage.
Yeah.
And then when you start going exploring caves and you find a gold one that's way smaller than the one with the umbrella, and you're like, oh, I can handle you. Nope. Just fucking two-shot you.
Yeah.
First time you run into a worm underground.
Yeah, that's not even a boss. Like it's just
that's not even a boss.
Those are just like elite mobs. Like you got the Eye of Cthulhu and the World Eater or whatever, and you're just getting
the World Eater is fun the first time.
It's really crazy. I love that.
I remember when we first found Terraria and started playing through like some weekend at my grandma's way back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah, that was before you guys even knew me.
Yeah. At least you might like you were around probably, but
we didn't really hang out.
We were all in high school, but you know.
Yeah.
We didn't really know each other then. I think we were in French class at the time, but that was it.
Yeah, it was like the beginning of that year, and we hung out the prior year.
Yeah.
But that's dope.
Those were good times.
Yeah.
What else have I been playing? I've been playing a lot of. I've been playing some Uno, some Monopoly from Uplay, and like. I love the Assassin's Creed games. I love playing Uno with friends. I've been wanting to play card games and board games online for a long time. I don't really like board game simulator, just because of like how wonky it can be.
Oh yeah, you mean Tabletop Simulator?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cause I was gonna say, why don't you get Tabletop Simulator?
Tabletop Simulator can be kind of glitchy sometimes, and like if somebody flips the whole fucking table.
There's a undo button for that, but yeah. Sometimes if they don't program the game correctly, because it's like I think that's mostly like secondhand stuff you grab from like Workshop and stuff. So
yeah,
makes sense some way. It's like a lot of the games are,
but I feel like Uplay in Ubisoft in general might exploit that just a tiny margin.
Oh yeah.
Like, why is the Rayman DLC for Uno fucking like almost as expensive as the game is?
Damn.
You know, like it shouldn't be that much. Like I could see $5 programming 6 different card effects.
Yeah.
And there are animations that go along with it. But even still, like if you have the card that lets you reveal somebody's hand and then hide your own cards, like how many you have, the first draw that you have from that while you have the cloud up always glitches. Always. And it glitches so like it's underneath the stack. Nobody can see what it is. And it doesn't glitch for you, but it glitches for everybody else. And it is so off-putting in like just an annoying way. It's not like a major complaint. It doesn't break the game or anything like that. But like, if you're gonna pay almost as much as to buy the fucking game,
yeah,
I feel like it should be at least coded properly.
How much is it then?
Oh, let me double check.
Okay, because I'm like I really want to know how much this fucking card skin is.
I want to say it's like $5 or it's like $5 or $7, and the game itself costs like 10.
Yeah, because one of the funny things I noticed is like, especially for Rayman, it's really weird that like Rayman Origins or whatever is still like $25-$30 on there, and some like non like I guess nostalgic games are like less than how much it is, even though they're newer, was like baffling me.
Right. And well, so Rayman has that kind of nostalgia factor to it though, where Rayman games were fun. I remember Rayman on the GameCube. That shit was like one of the most fun platforming adventure games I'd ever had. And it reminded me so much of like the first time I ever played through Mario 64. It was this vast world with a lot of characters, and the level design was really cool. There was unique power-ups, and it gave me that sense of just pure, unadulterated exploration, and that to me was so cool. But with all of the stuff that came out after that, like Legends.
Legends and Origins or whatever.
Legends was cool in like the.
I think it was Legends that I'm talking about, but yeah.
It was kind of cool because it was a tag team, a sport type thing, almost like tennis. Mario Tennis.
Oh, okay. I don't exactly remember.
Or I had one of those game modes.
I was gonna say I think I had a mode that was versus or whatever, and yeah, it did that. But yeah, it had a lot of cool things. Like I heard that one was really good. Like the platform mechanics of it were fun.
Yeah, like it was.
So yeah,
like platforming is always super well done in Rayman because
that's what it is. Yeah, about. Exactly. But it's funny that they'll keep it up there. But yeah, also another one they keep kind of high. It's like $40 or whatever. Is Remember Me? If you remember what that game is.
Uh-uh.
Oh,
No, I
it
don't.
oh it it basically felt like kind of um a game version of what is it? I can't exactly remember, but it basically it was like you can use memories of things in order to solve a crime.
Oh,
Yeah, so
that's interesting.
and people are rewriting memories or something, and so you have to like figure out what's been actually going on. I think is something like that. But yeah, I've always wanted to get it, but every time I see it, it's always like $40 to $50,
Okay,
and
so
it's 10 years old or something.
so Uno itself is $10.
Mm-hmm.
Uno Flip, which is the newest one, is $5, and Rayman is $3.
Okay,
So
so
it's
that was
but
three
Just Dance
dollars.
and Rayman have been out for like a really long time.
Yeah.
Um, so I can see why they would be a little bit lower.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, like I guess it's not quite as bad as
Yeah, it's not as bad. Like if it was $5, you're right. But
yeah.
yeah, that's why I was like,
But even
'cause I was worried it was gonna be like $10 or $15 for this card skin. I was like,
total.
yeah, I thought the card skin was gonna be 15, and I'm just like, I need to double check this.
Yeah, no. I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
That's way better.
That's fine. But yeah, it's still like I also wouldn't have surprised me again talking about Rayman
Considering
Origins or
Ubisoft,
Legends.
yeah,
Yeah,
make
they
it
do
out.
weird. Yeah, they do weird decisions for pricing stuff depending on what they.
Speaking of, did you guys hear about the Mortal Kombat debacle?
I actually watched Jim's video on that earlier.
Yep, sure did.
So yeah.
So for all of our fans watching, we're probably going to mention Jim Sterling a lot.
Yeah. We keep up to
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for anybody listening who doesn't know who that is or what we're talking about, there is a new edition of Mortal Kombat releasing that has extra storyline content and a couple new characters and some skins. And now, for most people familiar with Warner Brothers games, that's not really a surprise. They were kind of just waiting for it. But what they weren't expecting was the difference in value for people just buying it versus the people who've already had it. So to buy the new DLC itself, if you've already had the game and already purchased the rest of the DLC, is $40. To buy the new version, completely fresh, and get some of the DLC.
Yeah.
Not,
you get all the DLC.
You get all the DLCs in the new edition is $60.
Yeah.
So,
Well, which is basically saying that there is no change in price, but it has more content.
Right. It has a lot more content,
Mm-hmm.
and that completely blew people away because it devalued their prior purchase from $60 to $80 if they bought the DLCs after the initial release
Mm-hmm.
to $20. And
Yep.
so they just gave away $60+ for free.
Yeah.
And people feel cheated, and rightfully so. But also, I think people should really learn from that and be like, "It's who's publishing this? Okay, is there going to be a Game of the Year edition? Probably. Is there going to be like 6 DLCs?
Yeah,
Probably.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one thing I was gonna or like my kind of counter argument for or my argument for the well, I guess it's just like people feeling cheated about it. It's like for the longest time since I've basically been playing games, like a lot of like for specifically my memory comes up of Fallout 3. And when it first came out versus getting the Game of the Year edition like the next year or two or whatever, it's the same exact price, but you get all the DLC for free. And I'm just like, this has been a thing forever, guys. It's basically like getting the Game of the Year edition. So I'm just like, how are people?
Did it all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah, Bethesda does it all the time. I know there's a lot of other games that do like director's cuts and stuff that they would have to rebuy it. Like I think I had to do that with Borderlands, or
Yeah.
yeah, where I had
There
to.
was one for Borderlands too.
Yeah, I got the original game. I think played a little bit of it, and then because it was on sale or something, got the Game of the Year edition like a few years down the line.
Halo did it for a while too, but they didn't really do
They didn't have really
extra
DLC.
DLC much. It was mostly like remasters.
Yeah, they basically just updated it. Yeah, they updated it. I think for the new consoles is what it was.
And you know what? That's fair enough because a lot of people still really like to play Halo 1, and there's a big community right now playing Halo 1 on PC.
Yep.
Because it just released a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And
well, it re-released because.
Yeah. I fucking loved Halo 1. I love the original M9. It is by far one of my favorite weapons in all of Halo. Fight me. Next to the shotgun.
Yes.
Shotgun is dope.
I love shotguns.
Favorite combo: pistol shotgun or sword shotgun, and three. But
yeah,
neither here nor there.
Yeah.
My point is that as kind of your point was, this isn't new. This isn't a new practice. People are just they fall for the same tactics over and over and over again, and even like with Pokemon, you know, like wait for the re-release. You know, there's gonna be more content in that. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is like one of the best ones. Or Omega Ruby and Omega Sapphire, as remakes as well, are kind of in a similar situation. But I almost like the way they're doing it now better because it's more honest. You know, like it's you're not just reselling us the same game. You're showing us that it's just DLC, which is what the Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon were. Black 2, White 2.
Yeah, it's like
All of those just DLC.
Well, they're the game with, because they're basically the game with DLC with a package of DLC added. And it's just like you have to buy the full game again. So it's like it's more money out of your pocket you have to spend to like get all these additional stuffs.
Exactly.
But yeah, another point that it's kind of a weird point. Like it's not really a point to make, more just a kind of observation, and like gotta try to figure out stuff because in the video they're talking a lot about the FOMO, or fear of missing out, stuff, and it's like it's honestly weird for me because someone like for me, I haven't had a lot of money to buy a lot of games in the past, so it's like either you just have to be willing to either be a part of the conversation without firsthand experience, and be okay with that, or you need to be okay with having the experience as it comes out with less,
but
and
Alex,
be able to keep
what
going.
about the people who want to experience it and don't want to be spoiled? If they're part of the conversation without having it, then they're spoiled.
Well, then
but if they don't buy it as soon as it comes out because they can't afford it, then they're being responsible with their money.
Yes. So I guess be responsible. That's the decision they have to make. Is like, are they willing to do? Otherwise, it's like, then shut up. Like, that's all I can say. Is like, you just.
Well, I don't think they should be exploiting that FOMO anyway. Like,
well, the thing is, like, the other thing I was I actually thought of when you were talking about it was I think the big thing about people talking about it now, and why people are kind of hurt over this is because you now have a lot more developers that are willing to give out this kind of content, like the little additional, DLC stuff for free, or for really cheap, just to kind of get people to keep talking about, keep playing it, and so with Mortal Kombat not doing that, people are more kind of up in arms about it now than they would be before.
Well, yeah, and that's what kind of surprised me about it too, is because fighting games are notorious for this. They
Kinda.
always come out with new skins, a map, arena, or two, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe two or three new characters they bundle together.
Mm-hmm.
Injustice does it. Soul Calibur does it. They don't do it as much,
Mm-hmm.
um, but they have their own thing going with their guest characters.
Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat has done it for fucking years now.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat specifically, I remember has done it. The only thing I would
And
say,
part of that is
yeah.
because their world is so like expansive, and their canon can be so flexible with their writing, and that's cool. But it's also made it really easy to throw all these separate microtransactions out months away at a time. So nobody really picks up on just how much they've spent on any particular Mortal Kombat game.
Again, be responsible with your money. Be responsible with how you engage in content.
That's the message
But
that we would like to send.
yeah, yeah. That's,
What I'm saying is that
but yeah, I know.
it's not something that people
Yeah.
really always think about
Mhm.
because of the spacing in between. They're like, oh,
Yeah,
I've got a little bit of extra money this month. I could throw it this way.
Yeah.
Whereas if they realized that they'd already spent $100 on Mortal Kombat, a game that maybe they don't necessarily play all that often, or they pick up just because there's a new character that came out, and then they drop it again a couple of weeks later.
The only thing
As a casual player, it's not a smart investment anymore.
That's why I would be funny if it would be really funny to me if it was they keep coming back specifically for the purpose of spending money on this game. Basically, is what you're saying. I'm just like, oof, you need to reevaluate some things.
Yeah,
but if it was, but also I would imagine these are actually, it's more likely to be that they usually play it in their spare time or on the weekend. So like every week they pick up a match, and like they see new stuff in the store eventually, like a month or two out down the line, and like just buy it. Like I want to try out this new thing because I'm gonna play this as my main thing I do in my downtime. So it's more likely that, and since it's a month at a time, don't play it too often, aren't really too focused on what they're spending on it because it's just what they want to do anyways.
Right.
But yeah, but there are people like what you were saying though. But
I used to be one of those people, to be fair.
Oh yeah.
But then I just stopped playing fighting games except for Smash, and then Smash started doing it. I'm like,
Yep. Yeah, true. Smash is also doing the pay for a bundle of characters every year.
But I will give Smash a pass. Purely because it's more of a party game for me, and I like being able to have all the options for people to play if they do play more regularly, so they can play the DLC characters, and it's more fun for me to like pick up these broken ass DLC characters because you can sometimes buy them, and just do kind of well with them for not playing a whole lot. Like, that works both ways.
Yeah.
So, but that's pretty much everything I've been playing.
Okay. I guess Jake, you're up.
Yeah. So I haven't been up to too much of note. Just been playing games. I think I mentioned last week that one of my roommates finally got a computer, and we've been playing more computer games. I've been diving deeply into Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, nice. You've talked to me a little bit about you picking up Dead by Daylight for a while, and I've been really curious because I think it was last year or something, like early last year, that I actually saw you playing it a bit, and you were playing Freddy. How have things changed since then? Because from what I remember watching, like Freddy was super like OP.
And so the funny thing is I think you actually were seeing the pre-rework Freddy. I think.
What
who
what?
was actually
Yeah.
the worst killer in the game.
Oh yeah. You did really well though.
I do remember having some really good games as Freddy and us thinking he was really good.
Yeah.
But then went on to learn not too long later that he was actually really awful.
Oh yeah.
Because back in the original state, Freddy could only damage survivors if they were asleep,
What?
Yes.
and it wasn't
I
that
think so.
hard to wake all the survivors up, and so it was very easy for you to just like not be able to do anything to the survivors.
It might have been.
Sorry, this whole time when you guys have been saying Freddy, I was thinking Five Nights at Freddy's.
yeah, the Freddy Fazbear in.
Man, it's probably only a matter of time, bro.
Man, for
That's
real.
why I
Everybody's
was
licensing
about the sleep thing, and then when you said that, it hit me. I was like, oh.
How the times have changed.
Oh man.
But anyway, so now post rework Freddy,
Yeah, what was-
hit survivors who are not asleep.
Okay.
And his new power now is instead of pulling them into being asleep, they just like slowly fall asleep over time.
Okay.
And if they are asleep, you can put down dream snares, which are like little like blood pools that they run into them, it slows them down.
Hmm.
Or with an add-on you can use, it takes away the dream snares and instead makes you so you can make dream pallets. So you can make fake pallets that if they run through and try to drop the pallet on you, it just disappears like a splash of blood and doesn't do anything.
Oh,
that's-
and they're fucked because it reveals them.
Well, because like usually they drop a pallet during a chase, so like
Yeah.
they're stopping and standing there because like you're coming up at them and they drop this pallet on you, expecting to give them like a couple seconds to run away,
Yeah.
and it doesn't do anything, and so you just hit them in the face because they're
Yeah.
standing right there.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So
Makes sense.
yeah, basically you're gonna catch them at that. You're pretty close to catching them at that point with it. Whenever they mess up and pick that pallet. So.
Yeah, 'cause the
Yeah.
animation time is so long.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
usually
like, it's only effective if you're within a couple feet of them.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it would be like 10 sec. Like I want to say sometimes because of the route you have to take around stuff to go and get them. It's like 10 seconds. Like they didn't get.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big time when you're right on their ass.
And a bunch of new killers and stuff have come out. They have the Demogorgon from Stranger Things.
Yeah, I saw that.
Demogorgon's cool.
He looks really neat. I've never seen Stranger Things, and I've been tempted to watch
Yeah,
it, but
I didn't see the first season. I ended up seeing like most of the second season. I want to say it is because Jordan was watching it with my roommates.
yeah.
Now their newest killer is the Death Slinger, this like cowboy who's got a rifle, and the rifle shoots like a chain. It's like you hit them and it latches onto them, and you reel them in like a crank.
I love this.
And
That
they
is-
have to try to get the chain to catch on something like terrain or like another survivor or whatever to break it.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
It's super hard. He's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Breaking the chain's really hard, but hitting it's not that hard.
Mm.
Like if he does miss it, he has like a short reload period, but it's pretty darn short.
Oh yeah. I'd imagine that'd be pretty long, but crazy.
That's not.
Yeah, no, dope. Yeah,
I think we fought Death Slinger only a couple times though.
gotcha.
We're pretty low rank still.
Mhm.
I'm really low rank because I just don't play too much. But my other roommates have gotten to like 11.
Mhm.
You start at 20 and climb your way up to 1, so they're about halfway through the ranks.
Dope.
Other
I'm looking at the Demogorgon right now. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
But I will say it's not at all what I was expecting. I was expecting more of like a D&D Demogorgon.
Yeah, I was.
Like a giant iron bull that has poisonous barbs on it.
the D&D Demogorgon has more than one head.
Mhm.
It's always been
Also
a
true.
multi-headed thing.
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Weird.
I
Yeah.
swear it is. I swear it is.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought it was two. I thought it was two.
Yeah, I swear it has 2 heads.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're right.
Ah.
You straight Gorgon.
My Mordecaians is downstairs, but I swear.
No, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. I apologize. I was thinking of the wrong monster.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So other than Dead by Daylight, we also decided to start up our own Arc server. So that was a little bit of fun doing some port forwarding and IT nonsense for a little bit. That worked. Haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah. Um, sir, man. Making
And
a
then,
service in those games are always interesting. Try to set up.
yeah. And because of the podcast last week, thanks to Mike bringing it up, I actually started playing Legends of Runeterra. Though I knew it
Ooh,
existed, and I've been having quite a bit of fun with that.
nice.
I love it so much. What's been your favorite deck to play though?
Yeah.
So the one I currently play, my go-to is a Freljord Ionia deck,
Nice.
but I haven't spent any currencies or anything whatsoever yet.
Me neither.
So right now, I'm only using whatever cards happen to drop, or that you start with.
Well, actually, that's a lie. I spent $5, so I got the starter pack, and that was it.
Nice.
Everything else that I've gotten up until this point has been purely from the rewards that they give you in game, which is actually a lot.
Although, like, have you used like your wild cards and stuff yet, though?
I've used a few of them. Mostly, I've used champion cards, and to shore up a couple of curve slots, I've used a couple of the common ones and epic ones. But
Yeah.
I very rarely. I think I just used my first rare one today. I had like 13 of them built up.
Yes, I haven't used any. I've got 3,000 shards and
Yeah.
a fair bit of wild cards and stuff. Not too many though. I've got 1 champion, 3 epic, 6 rare, and 9 common.
I'm gonna double check real quick, but I'm pretty sure. Good cards. I'm at.
And today was my 7th login, so I just got the Ash deck.
Oh yeah, that deck is
Got
actually
Ash.
really good by itself.
Daddy.
The Freljord Shadow Isles sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have 11,000 shard right now, and I've spent enough to make at least 1 champion. So I had probably at one total in this game. I've probably had up to 16,000.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so easy to get rewards and stuff in Legends of Runeterra as opposed to like Hearthstone or even MTG Arena. It's the rewards track at MTG Arena is just kind of gross.
Well, now it's awful. It used to be a lot better.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that you can't you don't get any of the boards or anything as rewards, but you can get card backs now from completing the regions.
Yeah, for the entire thing. Yeah.
I am 2 levels away from getting the Damasio one.
Nice.
That's how much I've been playing this game.
I wish quests came more often. I wish it was like 3 quests per day as opposed to like 1 quest per day.
Yeah,
like,
Hearthstone used to do that too. It was 3 quests per day, but then they changed it because people were getting too much stuff too quickly, and I think they found through almost every card game that they've released. I haven't played Gwent, so I can't say for that one. But any card game that has quests will only do a daily quest now. You can build them up to do 3 at a time, and you actually get rerolls in this one as well.
Yeah.
So if like you get a quest that you don't really feel like doing or you think it's too hard, you can reroll it, get something else. But unfortunately, with the way that card games on the computer have developed, I think we won't be seeing any multi-quest stuff unless there's an event that they might do. Because Riot loves their events, and I love doing them. I really do, because they're usually super fun. But yeah, until we see more of that, I don't think we will.
Yeah, I know some mobile games do. Well, I think this is also for MMOs in general, but like if they did a weekly quest along with doing dailies.
Right.
I wish they had that way you can grind up something while waiting for your next daily. Would be nice.
It needs something because like I log in and I'll play like at most maybe 3 games. That's kind of pushing it to get all my quests done. And like I'll make sure they're PvP games so I get my whole PvP bonus gone at the same time. and then there's just like no reason to play. Like I'd like to play more, but at just 100 XP a pop, it just feels like a complete waste of time.
Have you played any ladder yet? I haven't. I
I have
haven't.
not played ranks. I've been waiting. I don't know if maybe the ranked rewards are better.
That's what I'm curious about as well because I haven't played it yet. I've done like one expedition so far. I'm currently in the middle of another one, and I didn't get very far because honestly, I got a bunch of crap. Like maybe
Yeah, I've been
that'll be
putting
better.
off ranked and expeditions until I get like a better handle on what deck building and stuff I want.
Yeah, and see, that's what I was trying to do as well. But I just thought I have 6 tokens. What the hell? I might as well
Yeah.
fight, you know. And at some point, at a certain point, it's worth it. I think to just try and like it's like Hearthstone Arena. You don't get better Arena unless you play Arena. You can deck build and theory craft as much as you want in Standard, but you will never get better at drafting if you don't practice just drafting.
Hmm.
So I thought about that and I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And so far, it's actually been interesting. It's very interesting to see what kind of buckets that people get in comparison to yours, but also the level of attempted synergy. And there's this weird like trade function. So like if you lose one, you get the ability to trade out one of 3 cards for one of 3 other cards, but only 1-for-1 swaps. So if you choose to do the first trade, you only get to swap those 2 cards and none of the other ones.
Hmm.
And it's so weird the way that you try it and the way that you swap it, because you would normally think like, oh, okay, it'll give me a selection of things to swap because they don't really synergize with the deck, and it pulls something that would synergize better. And for the most part, it does, but sometimes it just gives you things in places that are just flat out worse. I'm just like, I would like that card, but not for this one. You know,
Yeah.
it's just it's very interesting to see, and I don't
I'll
know
have to try it soon.
if it's just the coding or maybe if it's like there's just not enough cards in the game and it's pulling up things from like. Because the other really cool thing about this game is that you can send people your decks. You could share
Yeah.
your decks that you've
Yeah,
built.
the deck sharing codes is very effective.
I think so, and I think that would really. I think for the meta, it'll probably shift that the way that the meta flows as well. Because once you build the deck and you know that it's tier 1, you can just post that on a web page and be like, "Hey, this is the deck code for a tier 1 challenger deck." You know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the ranking system is. I'm assuming it's challenger because that's what league is, but who knows? You know.
Mhm.
I'm sure people who played ladder knows, and they're all cringing right now if anybody's listening. I
Yeah.
apologize. But as much as I love this game, I haven't tried any of the ranked yet because I'm a little bit tainted from competitive in League of Legends. Ranked in League is very toxic, and I'm hoping that this won't be the same because it's a Riot game.
Luckily, there's not too much opportunity
Yeah.
to be toxic. I mean, they got the emotes in there and stuff.
That's true,
But-
and you can silence the emotes, but
Yeah.
the emotes are so adorable. Like how
Yeah.
I did have one of my earliest PvP opponents was taking awful long, like just lots of time thinking. Like he kept getting the timer called on him,
Oh yeah.
and so I just kept posting the Heimerdinger like math equations emote over and over again on him.
Good.
I love spamming the Shen one at the beginning of a game and at the end of a game, whether I win or lose. Just because it's like yeah, good show. I'm out.
Yeah. Peace.
Yeah. Or you tried. Good job. You know, that's the 2 meanings behind Shen.
Yeah. I've had far more success in PvP than I expected to. I probably will go to ranked soon for that very reason. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Maybe just like the MMR system isn't very well done yet, or like because we haven't played very much, we're still being paired against very low players, or because it's unranked, something like that.
It's also still pretty new. It's only been out for officially for what, a month, 2 months?
If that.
Yeah, I think 2 months.
So, with that said, there's a lot of balancing that needs to be figured out. There's really not a lot of patch. Oh, there is one big bug, by the way, I will say, and there's a very particular combo that is both extremely good and also terrifying because there's a 6-mana card in Ionia called.
Is it the duplication one?
Yes.
That card is bugged. You're right. I don't necessarily know what you're talking about, but I know that card is bugged.
Yeah. So the thing is, you can copy 2 cards. You can copy a minion, and it summons 2 copies that die at the end of the turn or after they strike. What happens is when you duplicate a buffed minion or a buffed champion, it will not register the buffs on the sequels on the duplicates, but they're still actually there. So you see the base stats of the card, but you don't actually see how strong it really is.
Yeah.
And
does it deal the modified damage still?
Yes, it does.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's dumb. Okay, so
I knew it displayed incorrectly, but I didn't know it actually dealt the correct number.
Yeah, so the ephemeral life, or the elusive lifesteal, the Kinku Knightblade, I got him up to a 7/7, right? Because I used the Jeweled Protector and another buff while he was on the board. I then copied him with Dawn and Dusk, and the copies both did 7 damage as well. So that's 21 points of lifesteal, as well as none of it can be blocked because it's elusive. And they were only showing as 2/2s.
Okay, yeah. So I explained some situations I've had where I've won using the duplicates and the numbers. I knew I was going to win anyway because I calculated around even their lowered damage. But I often noticed their health being far more negative than I expected it to be. And that's probably why, because they were dealing the actual correct amounts of damage.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I had that come up in actually a game I played this morning where someone had used that card, but it's slow on the stack, and so there's so time I could respond before it went off, and so I frostbit the thing they were duplicating, and the copies came out not as 0/2s but as 2/2s. But the 2 section was still frozen. It saw the frozen graphic from Frostbite, despite saying 2. And I went and I right-clicked on them, and you can actually see the full breakdown. It'll show, this card gave it +2/+2, this card gave it +1/+1, this card gave it Frostbite, but it will still say 2/2. And I was really curious about, I noticed that bug this morning because of that.
Yep. Yeah, so that's the biggest one that I've noticed. I haven't really noticed any other bugs as of yet.
Good.
There are a couple of interesting interactions with things. For example, if you have cards that would level up mid-combat, order is extremely important.
Yeah.
Because if you have for an easy one, I'll say I'm attacking with 2 minions, one of which is a Darius. If they don't block the first minion and it takes them below 10 health, then Darius levels up mid-fight and all of a sudden goes from being a 6/5 with Overwhelm to a 10/5 with Overwhelm. And that's huge.
Yeah.
Also, Overwhelm minions, so you know how when normal minions get hit, you can sacrifice them and it'll still block the damage because you declared it as a blocker.
Yeah.
Overwhelm minions are not affected by that. If there is nothing there, it reads it as 0 health
and
that
makes
does
sense.
Full damage.
That makes sense.
But
there's also little interactions like that are never properly explained.
Right, and that's the thing that got me. It actually cost me a game because I didn't know that. I wasn't too upset about it. It wasn't ranked or anything, but, it was still man, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I've also noticed there are some very important definitions and various things with targeting that aren't explained. you'll see different words like follower, unit,
Yes.
target, and each one means something different. But you're
boy.
never told what it is.
Yeah. Oof.
You're assumed to know the difference between followers and champions. So
Yeah.
champions are every
Yeah.
champion that shows up in League of Legends.
Mm.
Followers are not necessarily people that are just regular minions. Followers can also include named characters in
That are
Legends
not
of Runeterra
champions.
that are not champions.
Yeah, it's I found this out later,
Huh.
but and I was trying to figure out the original one where I came up. I noticed was one of the Iceborne cards. It's like the one who watches over or something like that, where costs 10. Cost 10 eradicates all followers that have less than 4 power, or something like that.
Mm.
And I was like, well, I'm gonna lose my Braum in the process here. He's got 0 power, so he's gonna go, but it'll be okay. It'll be fine still.
But
And her laser blasts through the entire field, and Braum is still sitting there.
yep, because
So I'm like,
he's a
okay.
champion.
As well as
Braum is a goddamn legend. Okay.
I mean, there's a whole league
trying
of
to
them.
figure out which spells can target the enemy nexus is strange.
That is also a
Huh.
valid one.
Because I've noticed like Lux's spell she generates for her ultimate,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got overkill. That's the thing.
it overflows and hits the nexus.
Mm.
Yep.
And
There's a
it
couple
doesn't
of
say that anywhere.
Ezreal's ultimate does the same thing. The Mystic, not Mystic.
True Shot Barrage.
True Shot Barrage, yeah.
And I know at least Luxus didn't seem to mention that anywhere on the card.
Yeah, it does actually.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pull it up right now so you can see the exact.
Well, that's fine. I didn't remember seeing it when I read it.
Mm.
Yeah, Final Spark. So it has the overkill symbol on it now. I don't know if it always did.
Oh, maybe it was just a symbol, then I just didn't even when
Register,
I was reading the
yeah.
text.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
some
been
of the
very
cards did
careful
that.
to read
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. When I played back in the beta, I was really confused by having the symbol and not in the text, and didn't. I'd have to, I think, hover over the card or whatever for it to say what that symbol did, and so I had a few games where I misplayed or whatever because I didn't know what those symbols were.
So I think the problem with it, the reason why they do it that way is because there's so much verbiage on the card.
Yeah, they do.
Whereas
They
with
do.
Games like Hearthstone, they have very established keywords,
Mm-hmm.
so they can get away with not doing that.
Yeah. Well, also it would if when you selected the card, or if they had a way to select the card or something to like have those pop-ups happen more readily to like make you
were
notice.
To like right click
Yeah.
and then hover and then
yeah.
If the right click always had it pop up, I think other games do that. Where
Yeah.
if you bring up the
Mhm.
card, it automatically brings up tooltips on the side of all that card's extra features and stuff.
Yeah. I know that's with Hearthstone. I think they have it to where you hover like when it's in your hand or whatever, and it'll do something. But
I think Shadowverse did that too, if I remember of Shadowverse.
yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it was like the last card game I got into for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, I should also mention the deck that I've been playing mostly is Freljord Demacia.
It's fair.
Freljord Demacia is extremely good, especially if you can get the combo where you buff the damaged minion and then you double its health and attack after you've already buffed it.
Yeah, that card that gives +3/+3 to a damage minion is so good. Take Breath. Take Breath is a really good card.
Take Heart, isn't it?
Take Heart. So,
Yeah.
Take something.
take
the win. Take the dub.
I only remember that it's Take Heart because it's Braum's default spell when he's in when you have a copy.
Yeah, Brahms Take Heart.
Yeah. I played
That's another
Piltover.
really interesting mechanic, by the way. So
yeah, that's cool.
And you can't have duplicates of champions on the board, but if you draw a duplicate of a champion, it's not useless because it turns itself into a signature spell, which I think is really cool.
They call it champion spell. Signature spell is something different, I think. It's their champion spell.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, take us away.
Okay. So today our big topic is intertextuality, and it's kind of mostly used as a relationship between two different texts or just different works of media, where one references another one, usually an older piece, but yeah. And so I know a lot lately, and I've especially noticed it a lot while watching OKKO, of using a lot of references from older, like a lot of other things, in order to. For the most part, it feels like fill in time, which is like the worst way to do it. But like how people use it and whatnot is kind of what I wanted to debate today. Because yeah, with the OKKO they used it a lot. It felt like most of the filler episodes were just like small lessons like you can learn while watching this like kind of beloved character of sorts. In one episode they actually do a big crossover episode with just other Cartoon Network characters, and it just all felt like just, you know, they do a cool thing and you kind of learn a lesson of some kind. But it doesn't really move the plot forward. They don't actually tackle like an actual villain. The room. They don't tackle any of the main villains. So some of the times they actually bring in the villains as well from the other things or whatever. So, but yeah, I think that's kind of like one of the worst ways to do it. Like one of them.
To physically bring over the other media.
Yeah, I mean even sometimes when it's just like, yeah, because sometimes it can work. I feel like you could do it better almost every time though than just like using kind of an abbreviation for things, by like talking about this other event in a media in order to explain what people are doing. It can work well, but it's kind of whatever.
It's one of those things you have to play around with extremely precisely.
Yeah. Because it's like, and the biggest problem I have is like how much is over like used, especially in like shows like that, where it was essentially a fourth of a season was no moving forward. I just remembered something else that I was going to talk about OKKO, but I completely forgot earlier. Oh well, I might talk about it next week. But yeah, so yeah, I think just taking the characters is kind of it feels it kind of works in OKKO because it's like essentially like a world of like the superheroes, and like essentially like of, you know, other like, because I think in season 1 actually they actually have like Captain Planet come in, and they just have they actually do fight the villain, and they actually tie it in kind of nicely, where the villain kind of like a villain from Captain Planet comes over, gets like working with the main villain of OKKO, and they're starting some evil plot, and then one of the members of the Captain Planet troop comes in and like is like, you guys take these rings and we become Captain Planet or whatever, or make Captain Planet. They don't become Captain Planet, they just make it, they just form him. My bad.
Captain Planet is not a mech. It's not mechception.
I for whatever reason, for the longest like time, I've watched Captain Planet before, but for whatever reason, longest time I always think he's basically a mech, but it's just a superhero.
Just a bluish green dude.
Yep.
Red tights.
Yep. But yeah, that episode worked kind of well, but like they did one in season 2 where just Sonic and Tails kind of come in and help. They try to like do something to get Tails back or something, I forget. But yeah, it's just like kind of a lesson about like jealousy, essentially. Just like,
Yeah.
okay, that was a skippable event.
What an expensive license to blow.
Right? Hey, unless it wasn't that expensive.
I assume Sonic is expensive. I don't know. He hasn't been doing so amazing lately, but
Yeah.
Although the Sonic movie apparently did really well now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
I do have positive feelings for
speaking
the
of
Sonic.
intertextuality, I would imagine there's multiple examples in that movie.
Yeah, there were actually. I watched it a while back when it came out, and yeah, they fucking do the floss, and I'm just like, there's no way, like
the Sonic flossing count as incorporating in Fortnite.
Yeah, basically, like honestly, that's what they're going for. It's not exactly that they're trying to like make him do a fun dance. It's specifically that they know that Fortnite is big, and are trying to use the relationship of that dance in that game in their movie to make people when they watch it think of Fortnite.
Well, the floss also didn't the floss get popular off of Vine in the first place?
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
It didn't originate in Fortnite, but like it finished its like climb in
Fortnite.
Yeah,
it ascended in
every
Fortnite.
meme goes to die is Fortnite. Okay, like that's not saying a lot.
Although, while we're briefly on the topic of Fortnite, I did watch after the fact the recent concert that happened in Fortnite, and it was kind of lit.
Oh yeah.
Oh. I know he like it was it a hologram or something of him giant or something.
Yeah, well, like there was two different artists.
I know Travis Scott was one of them.
Yeah, and then
wait, really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they did. Oh God, my music knowledge is gone. I knew, and it's all gone. Like the songs were stupid popular, like just a little bit ago, but like aren't that popular anymore.
Yep.
I would be surprised if it wasn't the weekend.
It was
it wasn't.
It's the one that's not sicko mode. The other one.
Oh really? It wasn't sicko mode. I was like, like
they might have had both. It might have been sicko mode and something else. But
okay.
I feel like the one I'm thinking of is the one that wasn't sicko mode.
Okay, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's gone.
It's
all gone.
It's all gone. But yeah,
I saw some of the concert. It was really cool.
Yeah, like I don't have any real problem with like concerts or whatever. Like the only thing I really have a problem with was in the Star Wars thing was apparently really boring, and I also was like, that's kind of a stupid way to do your.
Well, I mean, it can't be any worse than Star Wars fucking right now. So
yeah.
We talked about Star Wars plenty last time, though.
But we're gonna talk about it again because I have a lot of things to talk about Star Wars for this topic.
Opinions.
I got Star Wars opinions. Well, again, because I alluded to it last time, where we're gonna talk about where a lot of the sad thing is a lot of the high tension, like supposedly like high tension moments in that thing, like the relief at the end of the movie or whatever, is literally just taking what you remembered, those feelings from the old movies, and just trying to implant them on this and make you connect with that again, basically. And
the first movie in particular was really big on that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It was kind of a rehash with all the appearances and everybody cheered when Han and Chewie showed back up on the Millennium Falcon for the first time, and they were like, "We're home," and that felt really good. But then, literally, they introduced R2-D2 almost the exact same way, and 3PO, and just like the 3PO Wookiee dynamic was the same. Han played pretty much the same role as before. Which is to say, he didn't really play a huge role in the rebellion. As much as everybody loves Han Solo, he was the ride. That's what he was.
I just remember the first new movie had a lot of like scenes that were like mirrors of old scenes from the original trilogy.
Yep.
Oh yeah. A lot of that. I might have just missed it when I watched it then. Because for me, a lot of the things I remember though are a lot of the Kylo and Rey moments that didn't really feel a whole lot like anything I remember from the original trilogy.
Yeah, most of their stuff was pretty new.
Yeah, okay. Because that's what I mostly took away from that movie.
That dynamic was completely new, and it was also terrible because it was completely like unexplained. And in the first movie, I will give it this: I think that it was really kind of unique, their weird connection, because I thought maybe it was a similar connection to Luke and Leia, where they were brother and sister, and they could sort of feel each other out wherever they were. And that was also what alluded to the fact that Leia had Force powers, because at the very beginning of Star Wars, she didn't. I thought that was really neat. But what it developed into was terrible.
Yeah, well, anything that was developed through that movie was non-existent, because again, they didn't really take the time to like plot a course and plot like actual arcs. It's just like every movie just has its own set of arcs, and then the next person gets to kind of just do whatever with the next few arcs for how they want the series to go. And so since they were all going to be just conjointed, but they were like, no, we're going to put back, I don't even remember his name.
Does anyone remember Emperor Palpatine?
No, not Palpatine, the guy who directed it.
Yeah,
but
I think Mike got it right.
Yeah, it was Abrams.
Abrams. Yeah. So they were just like bring him back and like actually try to like kind of complete this, but at the same time, as you said with the first movie, like he did a lot of that stuff before, where he took direct, like even direct, if they were direct, scene by scenes for how things played out in certain scenes. Obviously the third movie is just going to be a lot of that again, where he's trying to like, he doesn't have any original things that are like super impactful. Just let's redo what was impactful about the other movie.
You remember Star Wars? You love Star Wars.
Remember Star Wars harder.
Without any of your favorite characters.
Just the same events. Only slightly worse.
Only slightly worse because the acting was garbage.
The acting was garbage. A lot of the scenes just felt stupid.
I should say not all the acting was garbage, okay? There were a couple of people that I thought did fine for what they were given as far as the script goes. I don't really place any blame on the guy who played Finn at all.
Yeah,
I absolutely hated that, God, what was that chick's name?
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about, because I heard a lot of talk back when the movie came out, but
yeah, the fuck, what was her name? Rose?
Yeah, Rose. Yeah, you're right.
She was terrible. Like,
oh yeah.
I could not, for a single moment that she was on screen, take anything seriously at all. I just couldn't. It just seemed like she was, I don't know what the best way to describe it is. It felt like she was pretending, I guess, is the best way to say it. Like it felt forced or fake or something. I don't know. Like, yeah, you're watching a movie, but there's a level of immersion there that needs to happen.
I still I couldn't tell you anything like one way or another on her acting. I just remember there was some stuff about her that I heard.
Or her storyline was also garbage.
Yeah, I also all the writing with Poe and Finn, like, was kind of like thrown around a lot.
There was no build up of the main cast.
Really, it was just like, because again, part of the problem is they're trying to get to these set pieces. They're not worried about the character. It kind of actually ties in with last week about the pilots, where they're not concerned with the cast. Like they're not building up this cast. They're trying to build up where the plot is going, and just trying to. But it's not even about what the plot means. It's just a roadmap to get you to certain areas in order for you to think about these like Star Wars feels you've had.
You know what it kind of felt like to me? It felt like the original cast was still the main characters.
Exactly.
And
That's
then
basically
these new characters were a vehicle to get to them.
Yeah, basically.
And like they were just scrambling to get to them as fast as they possibly could, so they could get Star Wars rolling again.
So they
that's not
could
what
do
it
a Star
should have
Wars. Yeah.
It's not
Nope.
what it should have been.
Yeah, that's why again with taking these characters, it's like you don't even care about the plot isn't like the plot just gets you to those characters and gets you through events that are meaningful kind of to this other like past or the text you're pulling from. It's more about them a lot of the times than it is about building your character. It's to reevaluate the old stuff. And
Right.
it's why, or one of the things I always think about is like, it's all the intertextuality that's been happening is weaponized nostalgia. That's all it is. Like, it's just a ton of that. Like,
I feel like it would have been better if they didn't feel the need to have the older generation physically hand off the torch
yeah,
to the new generation and like whack them over the head with it. That's what it felt like they wanted from those movies, and it just didn't come across that way. It didn't come across even close to good enough for me to excuse it either. And like if they had been like, okay, the Empire's a problem again. There's very few people in the galaxy who do anything about it. I just found out I'm Force sensitive. I'm gonna try to do something. And then in the course of that,
let's whoop some
the Force
ass.
guides her to Luke. That's better than saying, oh, there's only one Jedi Master left in the universe. I'm gonna go try and find him. He hasn't been seen in years.
Yeah,
That to me just feels forced.
Yeah.
I think one of like the pinnacle of just like this forced nature of trying to like bring back the old characters and stuff is Palpatine. Like literally just wrote in.
Yes.
They just writ him into the scrolling text in the beginning.
Yeah.
No forewarning, no pre-existing part in the plot.
Nowhere in the plot.
You guys remember the bad guy?
Hey, the bad guy, right?
You know, the guy who got tossed down the infinite well into the vacuum of space.
Into the void that we call space. He's back, guys. He's here. Like, you guys need to go get him. Find him.
Along.
Like, it's him. Get him. Go there.
To explain him, by the way.
Wait,
They're
what?
like, oh yeah, the original Palpatine that you guys all thought died? No, he was a clone the whole time.
Yeah. Oh God.
Fuck
What the fuck is this? I hate. All my hate. Yeah, and then they had the Snoke being cloned or whatever, and I'm just so
with cloning technology, why didn't we just take DNA samples from all the Warriors heroes the first time around?
Well, they kind of did, actually.
They did? Well, this feels like an expanded universe thing that probably happened.
Well,
yeah.
There was some experimentation with that, and the bigger part of it was clones started having what was it? It was something about advanced genetic degeneration or something like that caused them to go crazy.
Reasonable.
And the other problem was that they were using the clones that used Jango Fett's DNA lasted longer because of the inhibitor chips. But after the inhibitor chips were removed or destroyed, they started becoming violent more quickly. So they eventually phased out all of the clones and implemented genetically augmented troopers, which is what the new stormtroopers are.
Gotcha.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, they're still grown and cultivated, but it's not the same levels of
It's not
churning out clones.
Yeah.
Not recreating a person, you're just making a new person.
No, there's a new person that while they're growing, you slowly augment their genetics. So, I guess. But yeah.
So, did you ever get any other big intertextual?
Yeah, I
Media?
want yeah, I had one other one, which is actually funny that we brought it up, but Stranger Things does a lot of it,
Okay.
where
Yeah.
they talk they kind of I think honestly it's best used, and you like it's fine to argue it, but I think it is best used in any real like when the setting is the real world, talking about other worlds as media is uh, probably the best use of intertextuality, where it is about these characters and how they interact and how they feel about this these ideas in this media. Because I know I heard in another essay that they talk to each other in reference of Lord of the Rings. I think you've seen a bit of it, so you can tell me more about this, probably, Jake. But
I don't remember that from the second season. I haven't seen almost any of the first season.
okay,
So I think a lot of that stuff was a little heavier.
okay, because yeah, I know they talk they like talk about each other in terms of who they would be in the Lord, or who they're most like in Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, that's like a really that's a kind of a nice shorthand to understand like the characteristics of this person's personality without having to go too deep and use too much screen time for it.
I kind
Sometimes,
of just. Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, so like it's good to show that kind of stuff, but like if you're gonna talk about it all, it's better to do it quicker like this than to drag it out with tons of telling.
That kind of just it kind of reminds me of Phineas and Ferb,
Mm.
the episodes where they do those kind of like rip-offs where um, there's the episode where they go into the game and
Mm.
they oh no, it's the story of Excalibur, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and so it's kind of like a rip-off of The Princess Bride and Lord of the Rings and um, a couple other
yeah.
stories
Other
with
stories with knights.
yeah, and the funny thing about that is that the bridge to this concept is actually Buford
Mm.
because he has these moments of like uh, out of character uh, exposition that he only usually regurgitates to like Beljeet or Phineas when he's not really paying attention or not expecting it at all.
Mm.
Um, and it's great because it undercuts his usual bully demeanor, but also uh, it he is sort of the fourth wall breaker in that, and it seems so out of place coming from him, but it's just so perfectly placed.
Mm.
If you watch the show, you would understand more, but not everybody's probably going to have watched Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah. Uh,
And
yeah.
if you haven't, I recommend it highly.
Yeah. It was really good. I liked
I
all
know
the
I've seen some, but I don't think I've seen the exact ones you're talking about.
yeah, but also
To be fair, this was in like the third season of the show, which was fucking like 10 years ago.
yeah,
So
it's pretty old now. They're pretty
yeah,
they're gone. But yeah, I like that. Like you're talking about that of taking one aspect of a lot of these stories and using that as a focal like a point to like put them all together to kind of use that theme and like amplify it like through all these through multiple uh, media properties. So that's another really good use of it, I think. Also, it is kind of better for a show like Phineas and Ferb where there is no overarching plot. It's just every day is a new adventure type thing. Where with OKKO, as much as it's still like a kids cartoon, it has this plot that you're waiting to get to the end of and see where his kind of journey is leading him. That they kind of throw out here and there, which is really bizarre when you're watching it like episode after episode. You're just like, they changed up like their outfits during the last episode or whatever, and now it's back. Now they're doing something completely different with this new character that is in another series. So in the third season though of OKKO, they are doing a lot better of a job, I feel, but it's a little bit in there. But
Yeah.
The idea of
All right. There's other shows that do it very similar to Phineas and Ferb, like Futurama and South Park, and
a lot of those shows that just do date.
Well,
random.
Actually, with South Park, they have these arcs.
They started doing arcs more like in the later seasons, I feel.
Right, but that's after like Stick of Truth and stuff too. So
where they finally got the idea of having an arc.
But even in those, like those arcs are so closed off and almost feel episodic in themselves.
Yeah, it's just they have a few things that is still present in all of them.
Right, and they don't really have a huge presence on the narrative of the rest of the day-to-day shit that happens. There's usually just like this weird subplot going on in the background.
It basically
that exposes the next arc.
Yeah, they basically, instead of having a B plot every episode now, they have a B plot for say a month or so. That is just played out that they can kind of experiment with. So,
right.
Which I dig good B plots.
And South Park is actually a really good one to look at for this particular topic as well. Not only in like pop culture references, but also in political issues and personalities. Because they've also, like, especially with their tackling of the issue of PC culture.
Yeah, that's the one I always remember when people talk about them starting
PC
arcs.
Principal is the single most genius character I think they've ever come up with on that show.
Yeah.
I love it so
much.
It
was really good. I hadn't watched South Park in like probably years at that point, and then I think another one of Jake's roommates showed me the episode of PC Principal, and I'm like, wow, that is really good. I really dug all those episodes. And I was not expecting to like any of them because I don't really like too much of the humor in South Park, but that was so well done.
And the latest one they've addressed with him
specifically
is the gender equality.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know if you know this, but not too long ago there was somebody who competed as a woman in the women's bodybuilding competition, who declared that they were transsexual, but they were pre-operational.
Okay.
They proceeded to destroy the competition because, of course, masculine body structure versus feminine body structure, it's way easier to build muscle on a male frame than it is for a female frame.
Yeah.
So, of course, the man's going to win, right? And he is still, at this point, a man, even though he identifies as female.
Yeah.
She identifies as female.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a weird disconnect people have with, I guess, gender identity and, I guess, actual sex of a person.
Right. And so that was the debate, right? Was should she be allowed to compete even though she identifies this way if she has the inherent advantage of having the genetic structure of a man?
Yeah, if her body is still technically 100% male, while her identity is, regardless of what you want, if you want to debate it at all, but 100% female. Like,
there was also the debate of, did he just compete in a women's competition to destroy women and get away with it by calling himself a woman?
Yeah.
And that was the better question in my mind, because there's an obvious answer to the other one. This
was like
so cut and dry.
Yeah.
And I feel like it should have been a bigger issue, and it was kind of glossed over. Like it was around, but it wasn't blasted. like a lot of the other gender equality issues were.
Mhm.
And South Park picked it as a target
Mhm.
for that reason.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that
Mhm.
from South Park, but also it's hilarious to me.
No.
Because it's kind of a slap in the face to all of those feminazis who are trying so hard, right, to bash men and devalue the patriarchy when someone declares themselves to be a woman and they have to then turn around and defend them even though they are just another man trying to find ways to keep women down. It was such a weird turn of events.
It is very strange because I'm not sure how those kinds of people actually would perceive that event because I don't know any of them, so I couldn't. Well, I know,
there's a group called TERFs, trans exclusive feminist or radical feminists.
Okay.
And they caught on to that bullshit almost instantly, but also like they'll take any fight over anything transsexual anyway, just because they are trans exclusive feminists.
Yeah, because
and they are one of the most radical and idiotic people. Some of the dumbest shit I've ever read on the internet came from them.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they're nice enough to put radical in the name. So they like, you know what you're getting.
Well, they don't like the name. They didn't come up with it, okay?
Oh, they didn't?
Oh, really?
No, it's what people call them when they act a certain way. It's because it's accurate.
Weird.
That's less fun, though.
Yeah, that's less fun.
Yeah.
Man. Rip.
At least be self-aware. Like, we are the radical group. We have very extreme views, but there are views.
Yeah, I don't. If they did come up with that themselves, I don't think they understand what radical means because they would not define themselves that way, obviously. But
radical dude.
Totally radical dude.
But no, what I was going to bring up earlier was that the idea of like taking a bunch of like different medias and things and mix them all together reminded me of Fate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like an interesting thing to think about. Taking just individual characters from various famous media or points in history and things like that, and then twisting them to fit your own story.
It's kind of like Assassin's Creed, actually.
So that's a lot of media is really built upon these older like stories of like how people would like view like powerful figures.
Very true.
So,
and like also, how many times have we retold similar stories? Like, how many different times has there been a Christmas Carol? How many times has it been rewritten?
And now you're just getting into
in recent times.
I mean, you mean intentionally retelling the same tale? Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, or across. Oh God, if we count like all of the cartoon adapted versions from like Disney or Cartoon Network or any of those.
It's a little bit less of that in those cases because it's not really referencing the material. It's not an allusion to the material. It is just the material restated. Yeah, like so it's a little bit different there. It is still using nostalgia kind of as a weapon to get them to continue to buy shit. So
right, but I'm just saying like
be engaged in the media. So
I think a lot of new media is built up off of the bare bones of older media.
It's also like a lot of people say that there is no like original material. It's just kind of rehashed of something else. It's kind of like so it's that, but it's like this extreme version where like nowadays it's I feel it's super extreme. Like it is non-stop in your face, just kind of using feelings that have been built up over time and just thrown at you over and over. And that's kind of where I'm at with it, where I'm just like I'm super done with a lot of it. Like some of it again can be used well. I rarely see like Sonic also did a few other things where the Sonic movie for me was really weird with its intertextuality because they have a wealth of Sonic things they could like go back and refer to in this, but instead they opted out of that to use other media's pop culture
Right, to get some of the
to
internet
to,
draw
to
back.
yeah to catch a wider net of pop culture knowledge to like incite people liking it.
Right.
There's also something like Wreck-It Ralph. Can think of it.
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph
really good
does.
because Sonic
Yeah,
showed up there
because
too.
yeah, I know, right? But, yeah, they do it like just in passing a lot of the time. Some like yeah, again with I feel with actually Wreck-It Ralph they do the similar thing OKKO does where a lot of their side characters do absolutely nothing, or their intertextual characters do absolutely nothing to further the plot.
Right.
They just
So
are
they
there
have
to
kind
show
of sort of
yeah.
fill out the world.
Yeah, and just to like these characters. This is a world of video games. Like clearly these characters would be here, but it's not like they actually do anything or mean anything to the story, and that's like the worst.
The funnier thing to me about the
I
Wreck-It Ralph version of it is that the characters don't necessarily appear as they do inside the arcade game.
Yeah,
Like,
they
there are
fold
much
3D.
more updated versions
Yeah.
of themselves.
Yeah, I feel it's because all like instead they tried to make it to where it's like in game vision or whatever, where all of these characters are the same kind of how we see each other as regular people, like in the same kind of style, like that way it's not too off from looking like normal people. But yeah,
Right.
though I have to also say there's still the Villains Anonymous thing or whatever in Wreck-It Ralph
Yeah.
1 that still was a very good scene, and I will 100% like defend myself from that scene, and being that like really keyed into like kind of how the characters actually feel about themselves in their world. So they do it well there. In Wreck-It Ralph 2, I feel they don't do it as much, if I remember right. I did not.
Yeah, the whole second movie just wasn't really as worth it as the first movie.
It's really weird to try to follow and care about. Like I like found myself like kind of like skipping through a lot of moments because I'm like you're meandering in every location you go to. You're not actually getting a plot done.
The thing I enjoyed the most for the second movie was essentially the Disney princesses, and they had nothing to do with the actual movie.
Yep.
And yet they hyped them up in the commercials.
Yeah, they were the focal point of the commercials. Like it's just like they have that one scene where Vanellope or whatever was doing the racing stuff. Like that was actually pretty neat, and like I was okay watching that a bit more than like a lot of the other plot relevant things. But I don't remember that being in any of the trailers. But
I actually didn't watch the second one, mostly because I heard it was terrible. But...
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not
fair.
Really
No, it would not recommend actually. Again, meandering, boring plot. So.
But yeah, I really did love the first one.
Yeah,
and I think you're exactly right with the Villains Anonymous or the Villain Support Group.
Yeah,
that really does sort of explain how somebody with a job like a villain's in the video game context would feel as a person.
Yeah,
like their identity would be more than their job. Like actually, back to Phineas and Ferb, Doofenshmirtz kind of has the same crisis because at a point he stops being a villain and he starts being a dad, and then he goes back to being a villain as part of his day job, where he goes, like, he's not really just a bad person, he's just inconvenienced by a lot of things and tries to fix it in a bad way. And it comes to a head where he realizes that, and he stops trying to be evil, and instead just starts doing things that would help other people by the end of the show.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it. I didn't watch, I don't think, any of the last season of it, but I heard that like they do a lot of the stuff where they actually because again, like that B plot that's been going on forever in Phineas and Ferb of Perry and Doofenshmirtz, and that kind of bleeds into our A plots a lot, and they actually like fill that out, and that's a really nice thing to do.
Right.
All right. Well, I think. Do we have any other topics?
Does anybody have any other bits of?
Nope.
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of BangCulture podcast. Thank you guys for joining me on doing it.
Adventure.
No problem.
This adventure, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Woo.
on a second.
Gotta love that.
Whoop,
siren
whoop.
to be done around 11.
Yikes! Oh yeah, your time. Sorry.
Yeah.
I said you want to go another 3 hours, Mike.
Let's go.
No, not at all.